Colin.
I'm Brock.
I'm Aiden.
I'm Aiden.
Devin.
Mason.
Lexi. Madeline.
And right now in our 8th grade class setting, we're reading a book named Paper Things. Miss Warren told us that you guys have already read it, which is going to be awesome because that'll help quite a bit. So we wrote a short little summary on it. We had in this book, Ari and Gage are 2 main characters who are currently couch surfing because they ran away from their foster mother. Their mother died from sickness and their dad was killed in war. So Ari is starting to drop academically. Gage is trying to get a job to support them both, and they don't know how long they can last. In order to help Ari cope with her loneliness, as she doesn't have any friends, and the loss of the home of her parents, she makes paper things to help her cope. These paper things are mostly paper dolls and other furniture cut out of various magazines and catalogs. These paper things, as she calls them, help her cope by giving her people to hang out with and family to be with, even though she doesn't have one. Today we will be asking you questions about your lives to help us understand our class text. If there is ever a question that you don't feel comfortable answering, you can simply say next question or I pass. These questions are just meant to make connections and better understand the book paper things.
Okay, so this is a question for Taylor.
We just did Mason.
Okay, alright.
Okay.
Okay, in the text, Ari collects her paper things. These paper dolls helped Ari view how it would be like to actually have a family. She treated these like they were her own family. Do you have any coping mechanisms that you did use or currently use that are similar to this?
For me, it was drawing or painting, or occasionally writing down what I would like to say to someone without actually ever saying it to them.
In the text, Ari and Gage lost their parents, and that caused them to have some trust issues and struggle with relationships. Did you ever struggle with relationships while trying to cope with your situation?
Not really. I stayed with a lot of friends whenever I was considered couch surfing and homeless and everything, and I don't know, they were really understanding about, the fact that I wanted to be on my own and everything, so.
Okay, I have another question. Ari's living situation is causing her to struggle a lot in school. How did your living situation affect your school, you in school?
My sophomore year, I dropped out because I was moving so much, and what would have been my junior year, I went back, but I've been really far behind, and right now I'm having to do 2 years worth of school in 1 year.
Alright, so in Paper Things, Ari goes to school, but she moves around place to place and is having trouble with her doing her homework. What help/advice would you give her?
I feel like she does the best that she can. I mean, it's hard when you are moving from place to place and not knowing where you're going to stay every night. So, just using all the time she has to get her work done.
I have a recommendation for her. And the whole time I read it, I was like, if she could just find a teacher who she could talk to, that would be awesome. So that would be my recommendation, because I know that, with Taylor, I was able to, she told me what was going on, and I was able to, work out assignments and understand that she was going to have to draw while she worked and things like that. So if a teacher knows, then, adjustments can be made for the student to have success.
My first question is for both of you. 1/4 of all people live without electricity. In our book, the 2 main characters are homeless, so they have no electricity. Has this ever affected you in any way?
I have had students who have told me that they do not have water. And that has affected, obviously it doesn't affect me directly because I'm not living it, but it does affect me in trying to teach those kids. So I had a student one time who said he hasn't brushed his teeth for 6 days, which I was like, this is not good. You cannot have this because you cannot concentrate on your work or some silly assignment if you're sitting there feeling like your mouth is disgusting. So I immediately ran over to CVS and got a toothbrush and toothpaste for that kid. And so it's just little things like that. Like he wanted to take a shower really bad, but we don't have that kind of a facility for him. But we did work it out so that he could get some soap and some stuff, and he kind of did a little kind of showery bath kind of thing in the bathroom. But that's something that I don't know. I didn't imagine coming. I'm from Lexington, so coming from there, I just never thought that that was a thing, and I've run into it quite a bit.
My other question is, in the book, the two main characters became homeless because they lost both of their parents. Can you relate to this in any way?
I didn't lose my parents, but with my mom working a lot and stuff, I have a little brother in 7th grade, and I was pretty much taking care of him a lot. So it finally got to the point when he was old enough that I thought he should be able to like take care of himself. I wanted to be able to be on my own because I was tired of like having to be the adult in that house and then still like getting no respect. So in a way, I kind of pushed my mom and my brother away to make it easier on them when I finally did move out.
This is for Taylor. What kind of emphasis does the school place on college preparation have?
At Alternative, we've had a couple, like people from different colleges, like Heartland and stuff like that, come and talk to us. I mean, and then just like any questions I've had, I've been able to ask her, and it's helped a lot.
A lot of the times with our population, it's really a focus to just get somebody graduated, because in more times than not, it's going to be a first-generation high school graduate. I think growing up in a town like Lexington, you just never had heard of what? People don't graduate from high school? That was new to me. But a lot of my students, I want to say like 80% of my students, are first-time high school graduates from their families. And so I think when you think about college prep and stuff like that, you're like coming from a point of view of maybe your parents graduated from college, or maybe one of your parents did, or your family you have several members of your family that go to college. But when we look at our population at Alternative, a lot of them are kids of dropouts, who were kids of dropouts, because of probably in most cases income. A lot of our students have to drop out because they have to be the sole breadwinners for their families. And so we do offer college prep, but a lot of times we're focused on let's get it through high school. If you can make it through and you're still interested, we're going to help you with that.
This question's for Taylor. Do you ever feel threatened in your class at alternative school?
No, I don't, like since I'm from Hayward, I don't know very many people in Alternative, so I just kind of keep to myself and work on my own homework and do what I need to do, and as long as you don't bother them, they don't bother you.
This one is for Taylor, and it was before you dropped out, did you ever have trouble paying attention in class, and if so, how did it affect your grades?
I did. Like I said, I took care of my brother a lot and did a lot of cleaning, so I didn't feel like I really had my own free time. So I had a group of friends that we were considered like the bad kids, and we ditched school a lot. And I was gone more than I was here, and that's part of the reason why I dropped out is because I was so far behind.
I had two questions for you. Has school ever helped you get through any of your personal problems, or have your friends helped you?
Friends and school have both helped a lot. When I went to Hayworth, Mrs. Moore and then Mrs. Hager in high school were my two go-to people to talk to. They were the easiest for me to talk to, and I related best to them. And I mean, friends were always there, but it helped to have an adult to talk to.
And then do you find it easier to relate to students when you used to go here or when you go down that you're at the alternative school?
Both. Because at Hayworth, they're people that I grew up with. I've been in the same class with them since pre-K, so I had a lot of friends here at Hayworth. But at Alternative, a lot of the time we're all there to do the same thing, and that's to graduate because we're so far behind. And so,
this is for you, Terry. In our book, Ari and her teachers don't have any relationships. It's almost like they're just there to teach and learn. Do you value your students, and what strategies do you use to help build relationships with your students?
I noticed that too, because I feel like maybe in public school that can happen. I did teach in public school when I lived in Kansas City, and there wasn't so much of an opportunity to get to know your kids like there is at Alternative. Your usual class size, I would assume, is probably about 20 to 30 kids ish, like that.
Yeah.
Around 20.
But my class size, now it's a little bit different, but my teacher load in a shift is 12 to 14 students. So I'm responsible for this little handful of students. I have an opportunity to get to know all of them if they want to get to know me. And I would say the strategies that I use usually have to do with, like, I don't know, using my own personal experiences. I think sometimes students look at teachers like we've never gone through any problems before. And I make sure that kids know I've been through it, I've been divorced, I've had this happen, I have kids that are in junior high and high school right now, and my son has been depressed, and I've talked to Taylor about it. I've talked to other students who I know have been dealing with depression, just to show, kind of like the parent side of things, and to actually learn, because, when you are, when you're a mom, you're like, what do I do? Is he going to be okay? And even, Taylor's like, he'll be okay. So I think kind of reversing roles is cool, because it, helps her, but it's helping me, it's helping my son, and in the end, we're creating a relationship that's a lot different than if I was just standing in front of the class going, why isn't your homework done?
And then, this is for Taylor. How does this impact you now that you've heard what Ms. Elko's answered?
I don't know, it's nice to know that I've been able to help her as much as she's helped me. Because honestly, I don't think I'd be where I am right now, school-wise, if it wasn't for her.
Alright, what made you want to work at an alternative school?
Can you ask me that later? Because what she said is really...
Yeah.
In our book, Ari is trying to get into a better school that she has to apply for. Can you explain what you look for in kids as a teacher?
Say it again for me, please.
In our book, Ari is trying to get into a better school that she has to apply for. Can you explain what you look for in kids as a teacher?
Well, we don't really have like an acceptance policy, but I don't know. I guess I look for an opportunity to get to know a kid better. If I notice, like Taylor was looking at, when I first met her, looking at flowers on, like, she would Google images, and so she would be drawing all the time. So I would talk to her about her drawing just to try to, get in there, because there's a lot of kids that come in, and you can tell by the look on their face that they're like, they want a connection, but they're not going to be the ones that are like, hey, I love drawing, check this out. It's going to be like an observing, getting to know, looking at what they're into, trying to get a vibe. And I've been there for 11 years, so now it's more of a thing where I can kind of get a feel for a student, and I don't know, it's more important to me to develop that relationship